G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the west side of the map, we've got Corp, who is going to be playing the English today. His opponent, who spawns on the opposite side of the map in a somewhat central position, I guess we could call it southeasterly. We have got the one, the only, TheViper. And he's also playing the English for us today. Now, this map is Mountain Pass, and this is a map that is somewhat of an interesting one. It can have a few different spawns, and it looks like the spawn that has happened today appears to be a single pass spawn. Now, you might look at that and think, nah, that's definitely a pass, Strongo. What? Can you guys hear that? In my left ear, it sounds like an airplane is taking off. Now it's in my right ear. Dude, we're on Mountain Pass right now watching a Viper game, and there's just like... there's a lot of echo in this pass. Hold on. Dude, listen to that. Maybe I'm going crazy. No, that's totally a thing. Anyway, so this is the primary pass that is going to be happening. So all the fighting is going to be happening here. And you might be wondering, Drongo, why the heck would you pick English on a map like that? Well, there's a very good reason why you'd pick English on a map like this. English typically want to be close to their enemy. Their ability to create longbows enables them to sort of get out on the map. They can do it very, very swiftly. Through the council hall, it is going to enable them to have the ability to make military very swiftly, not have to wait for the barracks to come up, not have to wait for the archery range to come up or the stable to come up. It's immediately there. So the closer you are to your enemy, the better. And it just works very well with this pass, the way that it works and the way that it interacts with the English units. Speaking of English units, I've just been the very fortunate recipient of what appears to be a beautiful almond latte. So just give me a moment, fellas. We're young in this evening, 11 o'clock, but I assure you, we're just getting started. Oh man, that's good. Oh, that is really good. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what we expect to happen this game. So typically what you would see, at least in the early stages of the game, it's a lot of longbows. Eventually, players will look to switch into men-at-arms. Men-at-arms seem to be the king when it comes to the English mirror. Typically, what can happen is you can actually see players going into horsemen as well, but it feels very dangerous to be doing that. In a lot of the games that we see, if you're going for horsemen, you're going to have to invest a huge amount of resources into those stables and then into the associated tech for those horsemen. Whereas if you're going for longbow, you start out with your council hall. You start out with your landmark. You don't have to make any switches, so it just makes sense. It makes it very easy for players to just stick with longbow and then eventually transition into men-at-arms, because you're probably going to be having a barracks because, you just want to counteract your enemy. But obviously, this is an English mirror. Things are going to be played a little bit differently, and I'm curious to see how Viper is going to be able to open up here. Actually going with a wheelbarrow opening right here. So, I love to talk about Don. You guys know that. I mean, Don has been the guy who's always tried out a lot of stuff. And I remember in the very beginning of Age of Empires 4, and we're playing it, and he's like, bro, I'm telling you, wheelbarrow first is cracked. You got to try it. You got to go wheelbarrow first. And everyone's like, shut up, Don. That's a terrible idea. Don't do that, Don. I've had a drink brought to me. Just give me a sec here, fellas. I don't know what that is. It's like a milkshake of some sort. So, yeah, he basically was onto this, and he's like, no, 100%, you got to go for this wheelbarrow opening. It just makes total sense. But we never really saw players pick it up. But it seems to be coming back in the meta a fair bit. Viper actually going for an early double farm as well. But going to be dropping down the council. Now, this is kind of a curious thing for me. Typically, one of the things that we've seen players do is look to add the mill a little bit closer to their town center, just because obviously playing up against the English as an English player himself, there's the potential threat of longbows. And so you always need to be cognizant of a raid coming in. And if that raid does come in, you're going to be losing the ability to be on these farms. But we'll switch over onto the other side. Corp on the Corp on the other side of the map, just doing English things, just doing casual English things. No real surprises coming in from his side. I love this. I mean, you're playing up against Viper. Why not? Why not? You know there's going to be aggression coming out. We'll have a look at his base. We'll see what he's got going on. He's going to be doing the same thing. We see the triple farm coming down. And I love this. I think this is such a smart move here as well, because with the triple farm, what it enables you to do is actually fit more farms into the mill. So typically you'd only be doing like the 8 farms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But this enables you to add in 2 extra farms, so you can fit in 1 more up here, and then by the same token, 1 up here. And you can see both players are actually positioning their farms in the same way to do that and take full advantage of it. And What's that landmark? What is that landmark? What is Corp doing right now? Are you guys seeing this? That's an Abbey of the Kings. Corp is going for, oh my god, I'm going crazy. Corp is going for something a little bit crazy, and I'm curious to see what he's going to bring into this. Now, let's just talk a little bit about the way that this game is going. Viper's gone for a council hall, and he is essentially playing blind against his enemy. He has no idea what his enemy is up to. I think he may have scouted out the front here, and he may know that there's walls, because we can see that he hasn't gone past this, and he's obviously going to know about that now. So, behind these walls, he knows his enemy is up to something, but there's no possible way that he can know. And as a result, Viper says, okay, well, if that's the case, I'm just going to boom. I'm just going to boom, and I'm going to assume that you're doing something sneaky. Corp is doing something sneaky. He's going for an Abbey of the Kings. He's going for an Abbey of the Kings double stable. Now, I think this is smart, and this is something that we theorized in the beginning, because, you know, you look at the civilizations and you're like, all right, what can you do with this? This landmark, it seems like absolute trash. This is the D-est tier landmark you have ever seen. Surely, you know, this landmark is, you know, useless. And then you start thinking, all right, well, it heals all nearby friendly units. So it's not all units. It's not like they must be nearby. You know, if the AoE was a little bit bigger, then surely I could accept it. But they must be nearby units, and they must be out of combat. And it heals them by 4 every 1.5 seconds. So it's not 4 every 1 second, and they must be out of combat. So there's a lot of different levels to that. So they have to be nearby. They have to be out of combat. And to be out of combat, for anybody who doesn't know, that's 15 seconds without attacking your enemy or being attacked by your enemy. I feel like we could really change the way that the English play with the Abbey of the Kings with just a couple of little changes. And one of the changes I'd love to see for this landmark is that out of combat. Could you imagine if your enemy was trying to push into your base and you just literally had an Abbey of the Kings that healed friendly units by 4 every 1.5 seconds? Like, take the out of combat away from it. Then it would be actually a viable landmark. Think about that. You could play mad defensive. Anybody tries to push into your base, bam, bam, boom. You hit them with it. Now, obviously, there's a cost-benefit analysis that needs to be done to that. You need to be able to look at it and go, okay, but, you know, this is a mutually exclusive landmark. It's not going to be able to, you know, exist with the council hall, so I'm not going to have as many longbows that are out, so it's going to affect my production. There's a whole bunch of different calculations that you got to throw into it. But at the current point in time, it feels like it's not useful. So I'm curious to see whether Corp is going to be able to make this useful. I would expect that Corp probably thought that Viper was just going to play standard English. He was just going to do the longbow thing. You know, if you've ever watched a Capoche game, you can that is standard English. That is, you know, I make longbows. If I see a stable, I make longbows. If I see a barracks, I make longbows. If my enemy does anything, I make longbows. Like, that's essentially it. But this is obviously a real potential counter. And now, grouping the scout with the horseman as well, it's going to enable him to be spotting out these potential villagers to come in for raids. But do note, Viper actually going for a double town center right next to each other. That's why I'm so interested in this, because they are on top of each other. And take a look at the middles of them. One of these town centers is not like the other. Can you spot it? Can you spot the difference between these two town centers? Go on. Go on. Yes, correct. It is their monument in the middle. One of these monuments is not like the other. So I think this is Viper's main town center. It does get the monument with what appears to be a woodcutter, but the secondary ones don't get the monuments. So Viper now going to be forcing Corp off. Manages to take a horseman down to about 13 health. He needs to keep that one alive, otherwise he's not going to get any value out of that Abbey of Kings. He's going to be trying, but yeah, at the moment it doesn't seem like the Abbey of Kings is a particularly effective landmark. We'll see how Corp goes. I feel like you might want a bit more aggression on this map, but now Corp going to be dropping down some stone walls. So Corp also dropping down a second town center. Now, you can actually tell which town center is the secondary, which one is the primary, because the primary one, it's got a giant fucking elephant in it. The secondary one doesn't. It's just got a bell. I really like it, man. I tell you what, it really looks cool. Dude, I can't wait for cosmetics. You know, I bring this up maybe every 15th game this comes up. But I can't wait for, like, some serious cosmetics coming in. Can you imagine these horsemen? Can you imagine getting killed by a golden spear? Dude, that would be so cool. Yeah, it's a spear. A golden spear. Or like a golden tipped spear. Imagine this little guy. Like, you go look at this landmark, right? This landmark, that is gold. Like, very obviously, we have, like, the textures for it. It exists in the game. Let's just take that. Let's put it over here on this bad boy. Okay, and then I'm going to go stab some villagers with it. And I'm going to pay $106 to do it. I'm just kidding. It would be on the market for $6.99. Oh god, that is a kettle of worms I do not want to open up, but you know, I love to open that up. Viper now looking towards that castle age. We can see he's got 1,200 food in the bank, 300 gold in there, plenty of wood in the bank, but I think when you spot out these walls from your enemy, you can kind of tell that you know, there isn't really the need for too much military. So this is going to be a very passive game, at least at this point, and Viper continuing just to push away those horsemen with his archers on the front. So not really getting a lot of value out of this Abbey of the Kings. So I think when it comes to actually utilizing this Abbey of the Kings, it's going to get a lot of effectiveness out of the early stages of the Castle Age and the early stages of the Feudal Age. So typically what you're going to be wanting to do is fight off, get your horsemen, your knights down low, and then bring them back. You're not going to be able to do this with many other units. Like men-at-arms you could potentially do. The hard thing is it's very difficult to click these things. So if we take a look at the longbows, wherever they are, as Viper puts down his third town center, when you're grouping these longbows together, when they're very close in proximity like this, you've got the health bars on them. And if you want to try and click them and pull them through, it becomes very difficult to select individual ones and go, I want that one. See, I actually tried to click this guy that was in front and pull him. But as a result, it means that it's only really that effective in doing it in cavalry because it makes it very easy for you to click the injured one and then command them to come back. So there's that aspect of it as well. So I think there's a lot that we could talk about it. Viper adding in a 4th town center right now. Oh my god, that's a 4th town center coming down from Viper. So he's got the 1, 2, skip a few. Well, he's got the King's Palace, and now adding in a 4th town center. We check in with Corp. He's doing the same thing. Corp going for 3 town centers back in his base. See, I really feel like there's a lot of longevity to be had from the Abbey of Kings. Honestly, if they just made it so that it honestly, oh man, I wish they made that change. Change the Abbey of Kings so that it heals all nearby friendly units by 4 every 1.5 seconds. Oh my god, it would be insane. Could you imagine how good that would be? Oh, it would probably be too good. Do you think it would be too good? I feel like it might actually be too good if you did that. Because think about it, like your enemy tries to push into your base. Like, can you imagine a mangonel shot comes off, lands on a whole group of longbows, and you're like, hey, what's up? Actually, no, they already have that healing circle, don't they? Where is it? They already have the healing circle. But, yeah, I mean, that's always a counter. So, Viper now adding in the 4th town center, because why not? He's actually made more town centers than he has made units. I mean, close. He's got 3 longbows, 5 longbows at the back, so 8 longbows in total. Still continuing to chase down these horsemen. Still no use yet out of the Abbey of the Kings. And we've got the Castle Age coming through now for Corp. I'll check towards, is that towards the front? Yeah, it is. He's going for the White Tower. So, he's spotted out the 4 town centers from his opponent, but still decides I'm just going to stick with the 3. I guess it's a relatively smart move. The White Tower is going to give him some pretty good tempo coming into this. Actually, now that I think about it, okay, so let's analyze this game a little bit. Talk. Oh, look at the villagers coming out, dude. Look at this. They got a slow rate of fire, those vills. He could have got that unit then. So Corp just really being annoying here, but there's definitely a tempo window here that might have been identified by Corp. So we're currently sitting at 14 minutes. Viper has gone for just the standard 4 town center build that you do when you're playing on this map. Now looking to secure up the monastery. Obviously going to be able to go for 1, 2 relics, 3 relics on his side. He's also got the sacred site that's going to be potentially taken. Up towards the other side, we've got the 2 relics and the sacred site on Corp's side. But Corp has sort of identified a window here. I feel like he probably could have hit it on 2 TCs as well. That Viper is going very big on the economy. And Viper is one of those guys. Now, I'm not sure how much you guys know about Viper. I mean, a lot of you guys would have been around in AoE 2 days. I say AoE 2 days like they're long gone. They're not. I mean, a lot of you guys are going to know Viper from AoE 2. And will know that he is a very greedy player. But he always plays like, kind of think of it like a seesaw. Like, the best way I like to think of it is he's always on the edge. He's just got enough units to stay alive, and he's just making villages behind it. Like, that's the way I think about it. So, very safe, but at the same time, very greedy player who makes sure to respect his boundaries. I think that's probably the best way I would describe him. And I think that can be exploited. And Corp may have found a potential weakness here in using the White Tower. And a lot of you guys might be like, the White Tower, that's a bad landmark. Yeah, it might be. It might be a bad landmark, yes. But one of the things it does is it acts as that siege workshop. And you're able to make siege out of this right at the beginning. Obviously, it also acts as a keep. And that's going to enable him to potentially train units. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a whole bunch of units coming out, but it doesn't seem like we're going to be doing that. So he's not even going to be looking for it. Corp now still sitting with the 3 town centers versus Viper's 4 town centers. It doesn't look like Viper adding in a 5th town center just yet. Viper still under attack now. It's just a scout coming through. You hear those bells. Oh yeah, bell me. Ding me, baby. Yeah, ding my dong. It doesn't matter what you say, as long as if you say it in that voice, like it's always going to be sexual, I think. It's like, oh yeah, baby. Pick my rock. Strel my bora. Strel my bora. Oh lord. Oh gosh. All right. So look, I think initially coming into this game, I was very excited by the Abbey of the Kings. As this game has transitioned, I've grown less excited by the Abbey of the Kings, more excited about the 4 town centers coming through for Viper, because, I mean, at this point, you're just going absolutely mad with town centers. I want to get like a little bit of a look here at the base of Viper. As you can see, he's collecting those relics as well. But just the fact that he's adding in that 4th town center, I mean, it's really selling it to me. He's sitting on, at the moment, 103 villages. Corp's on 93. So to me, it doesn't make a particularly big difference between a 4 and a 3 town center boom. And I think this is something that is important to remember for most people, that there is definitely an optimal town center number in the way that you're playing. And I often think about this with the Chinese, as we do see Berkshire Palace going down. So I'll draw it out for you guys. You guys know I love to do a little bit of a good drawing, and I think Viper going to be doing the same thing, probably looking to do it a bit closer to his enemy. So just to try and explain it. So if you're playing like 3 TCs, you like, this is your first town center. Oh, hold on, let me. That's your first town center. That's your second. It gets like a little bit steeper. 3rd town center comes in. The difference between like a 3rd town center or a 3rd town center and a 4th town center, it's so minor that it just becomes like kind of irrelevant. And I think that that's an important thing to remember. Like if you're adding in that extra town center, there is a point where it just really doesn't mean too much. Viper adding in the Berkshire Palace as well. And it doesn't necessarily become a burden, because you're going to have it for the remainder of the game, and you've obviously bought plenty of time with these walls up at the front. But it's always something to be thinking of. I'm just thinking back to a game I played where I went 3 TC boom when I probably should have gone for a 2 TC boom. But Viper now going to be putting himself in a pretty decent position. This Berkshire Palace is going to be overseeing the majority of this, sort of forcing his opponent over to this position. Now, one thing to note, as we do see this trading post sitting right in the pocket that is outside the passageway. Have a look up here. Look at this trading post up here for Corp. So Corp's trading post right up in the top corner. Very nice and defensive for him. He's going to be able to line the markets with plenty of traders, be able to trade up towards this position. Completely unthreatened as long as he defends here. Whereas Viper, I mean, his market or trading post sits right there. If he goes and drops some markets in the back here, he's going to be walking right past here. But now it looks like the knights have broken through. A gate in the wall has gone down. And that Berkshire Palace firing off towards those knights. You can see how much damage is coming through. Now, when it comes to the late game, I'm curious what options these players are going to look at. Because for me, when it comes to the late game, playing as the English, I think there's only one option that you can play. And that is Bombards, Men-at-Arms. I don't think there's any other combo. I genuinely think that is the only combo that will work. Just simply because Men-at-Arms are so incredibly effective against every other unit. In fact, we probably could see crossbows. I wouldn't be surprised to see crossbows coming out. Sacred Sight looking to get neutralized down towards the south. Corp going to be trying his best. Not going to be successful. You can see he's got a lot of armor on that bad boy. But we may potentially see some trebs out today. For anybody who missed it, there was a wonderful game between Leenock and Beastie where trebuchets. So trebuchets were, in my opinion, they've always been a unit that is like an expensive unit. It's slow, it's clunky, it's very difficult to use. Often you're just better spending those resources elsewhere, you know, putting them into whether scouts, putting them into, you know, going up to the next age, something like that. But we did actually see them very effectively used. So when you think about the trebuchet, what is their most appealing aspect? And the aspect that's most appealing, in my opinion, is their range. They've got that extra range, that 16 range. And they're actually the only unit in the game that can outrange the Berkshire Palace. So the Berkshire Palace, you can see that cannon firing down now on the walls for Viper. He has researched the cannon upgrade. So if we have a look over here, you can see it coming through now. Cannon emplacement for Corp is also coming through. So that cannon is going to go for 15 tiles. 15 tiles. So bombards, even the Chinese bombards, will die to that cannon. But the trebuchets won't. So it is definitely possible that we're going to see the trebuchets because when it comes to their strength, it definitely lies in their range. But already we see Viper going for a market boom on top of... I'm just going to have to count the town centers here because, ladies and gentlemen, if you just excuse me for a moment, we've got 4 town centers. I just want to make sure there hasn't been a 5th one added when we weren't looking. Well, it doesn't look like he's added any more town centers, but he's definitely... it doesn't look like he's added any more town centers in, but he has definitely added in some stables. That is a lot of stables right there. Going for 10 stables and going to be going into elite knights. Now, this is a pretty smart move when you think about it. So earlier I was talking about the compositions that we expected to see. Villagers trying their best not to get shot down. We can see that the cannon now going to be firing off. If he hits the villagers, that should be a pretty decent AoE, and I think Corp realizes that, so he heads back in as soon as he gets that wall back up. And so one of the things to note is that with men-at-arms, obviously men-at-arms are incredibly effective against longbows, incredibly effective against siege. They're a fast unit, they've got a lot of armor, and they're very difficult to deal with. But by the same token, knights are in that same box because they're armored units. The main difference here is that one is much more population efficient than the other. So the way that we draw that out, the way that we do that math is we take a look at what each of those units are worth versus how much their population cost is. So we've got the men-at-arms, which is worth 120. It takes up 1 population spot, so it's worth 120 per population. Then we take a look at the elite knight, which is 240, but look at that, it's only 1 population as well. So it's 240 per population slot. But then you can take a look at the bombard, which is sitting at 1,000, and that is a 3 population spot. So technically you're paying 333 per population spot. I hope that makes sense. So you've got these sort of different tiers of units. And when it comes to efficiency, the Royal Knight is one of those, or the Elite Knight is definitely one of those games, or one of those units that is incredibly population efficient. And now we do indeed see trebuchets coming out from Corp. He's looking to shell down Viper. Double trebuchet. Now, keep in mind, English trebuchets are actually pretty decent. They've got a beautiful upgrade that you can get on them. We'll actually check in and see whether we've got that upgrade coming through just yet. I'm having a look at the Siege Workshop. I think he might actually have it. I'm not sure if it comes through at the Siege Workshop, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's got that one. It doesn't seem like... Wait. Network of castles gives increased attack speed to the trebuchets? Dude, those things would fuck. Wait. Hold. It doesn't affect siege, does it? I don't think it affect... I don't think I've ever seen that. So I'm pretty confident that that Corp has actually gone for the English upgrade when it comes to his trebuchets. You can see him continuing to add in more and more trebuchets now, sitting here with 5 trebuchets. And look at this, really building up a defensive masterpiece right now. Like, he is putting on an absolute clinic on how to defend. It is beautiful. That cannon now unfiring as well. I love this look. It is just absolutely beautiful. Now losing a wall. He's got to be careful. Going to be exposing out his trebuchets, but you can see the majority of his units beginning to move up those men-at-arms. I think they've got their elite status. You can see by the golden helmets on them. We'll double check. Indeed, they are elite men-at-arms. I've just had it confirmed. Whoa, you see those trebs coming down. Oh my lord, those trebs are actually doing damage as well. They're like long-range mangonels. Look at that. I'm not sure if you guys saw that. This has recently been changed. So the developers mentioned that the trebuchets weren't as impactful as they wanted them to be, and as a result, they've kind of buffed them up a little bit. They've fixed up that upgrade. So we've seen the English buff changed, or the English upgrade buffed. But now we see the rewall coming in, and we've talked about this before about whether this is a little bit too strong. You can see him trying his best. Looks like we've got ourselves a little bit of a battle on our hands as Viper attempts to come in. I'm going to be drawing as much as I can for you. The bombard sitting on the back, and now we see that the cavalry is going to be able to come around. It's got all of that extra population space coming through, and now on the back side, don't forget that we've got those cavalry units also moving up towards the trebuchets, the siege on the north side. At the same time, Viper continuing to fire off at the buildings, not having a lot of luck as all of his military gets completely shredded as he pushes in, and now going to be getting pushed back. I don't think I expected that. I was too busy with my drawing pen. Crossbows doing absolute work. Do not mess with crossbows. These aren't even upgraded crossbows. These are just normal crossbows. Viper getting completely shredded in that position, and now the crossbows deciding to fall back towards their trebuchet partners, and Viper definitely looking like he might be under a potential threat. You can see it looks like Corp running out of wood at this point. Still plenty of wood to be had. We'll check in with his villagers, see how they're doing. He's got 18 villagers out here. English, typically a little bit more reliant than other civilizations on wood. Viper on the other side, it looks like he's got a fair bit of wood back here. Not an awful lot though, but yeah, there's still a fair bit back here. Gonna be able to fight it out. Viper now looking to push out against his enemy, and you can see those trebuchets on the back line still firing off. Bombard's doing their best to actually take them out, and they managed to do that. He's going to try and unpack and repack them. You can see him moving backwards now. The Knights on the front line are doing their best to fight up against the men-at-arms, not having a lot of luck. You can see just how much damage those crossbows are doing as well. Completely taking it out. Bombard's moving up to the front line as well. They forget for a second that they're not men-at-arms, they're bombards. Or at least, no, they forget that they're bombards. They realize for a second that they're men-at-arms. But now they are turning back. You can see them trying to fight out against those against the trebuchets of his opponent. Really having a difficult time. Needs to probably go in towards Springwoods if he's having so much difficulty with these. Look to get that roller shutter trigger. Is going to be a lot more effective. And now Spear's going to be coming in as well. I think these are just Dark Age Spears. No, Veteran Spearman has come through. Horseman also going to be coming out now for Viper. A lot of units moving towards this choke point. We have really got ourselves a choke point of death. And Viper looking like he might be in potential trouble. He's sitting on 172 population. Not a lot of food in the bank at the moment. We'll switch over to income per minute. I know you guys love to see that. And you can see both players looking relatively even as Corp continues to push in. The only real difference at this point appears to be the composition that players have elected to go for. So Viper going for elite longbows together with those elite knights, whereas Corp going for a bit of a mix. Men-at-arms, crossbowmen, and trebuchets, the unit of the day. We are beginning to see the rise of the trebuchet. It is happening, ladies and gentlemen, and Viper is experiencing it firsthand as Corp continues to push through. We now see those horsemen trying their best to take down those trebuchets as the trebuchets continue retreating, going back towards the safety of the Berkshire Palace. Actually, I think it's pronounced Berkshire Palace, isn't it? Berkshire Palace. But it looks like one of them will go down. Second one probably going to be going down. Well, it's going to be close. Manages to survive, and now you see 3 more trebuchets coming out at the same time. I would love to see Corp just absolutely slam down like 4 or 5 more siege workshops and just start spamming out those trebuchets. Up towards the north, it looks like a few units did manage to make it through. We see villagers under attack at multiple sections. Villagers on the berries, villagers on the tree line, villagers on the mills, and we can see that upgrade has come through. Beautiful aesthetics on these farms as well. Don't they look good? So many nice pictures coming in on this game. Beautiful, what's it called? Not pastures, enclosures coming in, providing a huge amount of gold per minute. But speaking of gold per minute, it looks like Corp definitely looking to secure the gold mines on the map as he once again pushes in towards Viper. Now keep in mind, this castle right here, it absolutely means business, but by the same token, the trebuchets on the back line definitely looking to do the same. Viper now coming out with counter trebuchets. You thought that the trebuchets from your enemy were doing work. Well, take a look at the enemies, or take a look at the trebuchets of your own, my friend. Viper tries to fight fire with fire. Is he going to be successful here? That is the question. Now we see the hand cannoneers coming out. This is a great tech switch. These guys are absolutely going to destroy the men-at-arms on the front line, which should hopefully leave a hole open for the elite knights to be able to run through. We can see the mass beginning to build now of these hand cannoneers. They continue doing quite a fair bit of damage here. We'll check on the upgrades and see exactly how they're doing. Hand cannoneers looking like they're fully upgraded. Actually, that's the crossbow. Let's take a look at the hand cannoneer. Yeah, these bad boys are fully upgraded. Still yet to get that chemistry upgrade. We'll take a look and see whether he's got that one coming through. Indeed, he's got that one coming through. So not too long, and that's going to have, I think it works out to be +7 damage. But Corp once again getting pushed back. Viper seeming to find a little bit of a hole in his opponent's military. I think that there's just a few counterweight trebuchets here, just 6, and now they're going to be unloading on the units here. You can see those rocks doing damage. We have got long-range mangonels, baby. They are here. The catapult. Welcome to the welcome to the trebuchet meta. Oh my lord! It took a few words to get it out of me, but look at these guys. These guys are insane. You can see them firing off on each other. It's just wild. I love watching the rocks as well. When you watch the rocks go up, I think English trebuchets are actually the best trebuchets in the game because they get the, what is it called? The shattering projectiles upgrade. I feel like we're watching Lord of the Rings. Oh my lord. It's so good, dude. I'm going to follow more of them as they come in. Oh, it's not as majestic when it does that. Oh, dude. All right. Here we go. I want to follow one of these as they come in. I wish you could do like a follow projectile command. Can you do that in Age of Empires 2? I think you might be able to. I remember watching it in some game where you could actually watch the projectile be fired. I think it might be League of Legends. I think that's it. Like when Jinx fires her ulti or Ezreal fires the ulti, then it will follow it across the map. So yeah, I think the shattering projectiles is definitely making a difference. I want to see if Viper's managed to pick it up just yet. It definitely looks like he has. Making his own trebuchets back here, really trying to fight fire with fire. He's got 4 that he's built up. I love that this is now the meta. Players of welcome to the trebuchet meta, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. Now, one thing, you guys at home might be going, oh, okay, you know, now it's the trebuchet meta, Z. And that's perfectly understandable. But just remember, when these guys remember that Springalds exist, then it's not going to exist. But speaking of existing, it doesn't look trebuchets are going to be existing for that much longer. Double castle on the front line here, going to be able to put up their solid defenses, and the English continue to suffer those losses. You see the trebuchet shots coming in so loud, so proud. Men-at-arms in amongst this mix, just getting completely melted by the hand cannoneers. And look at the trebuchets just going off from Viper. We're going to tune in and ride on board with a couple of his shots that are about to come out. There they go, 3, 2, 1, landing on the ground. You can see them firing off there. We'll watch him from Corp's perspective and see what he manages to do. He looks like he's heading towards the opposite side of the map. We're going to watch this guy right here. This one that's reloading. You can see him pushing it back. We're going to see where he fires. I just want... Oh, don't do me like that, Corp. He does me like that. Viper building up a pretty good mass here. We're going to do a little stock take. I want to see what these guys' villager counts are sitting at right now. Viper sitting on 136, 42 military population. 126 for Corp, 49 military population. When it comes to the income per minute, both players looking relatively even. This fight really doesn't seem to be pushing past at this point. Viper now sitting in with that upgrade. He's doing a little bit more damage on his gunpowder units, but still the elite crossbows on the backline are going to be providing a lot of that DPS as well. And now losing a fair bit of his ranged units here. Corp trying to take advantage of the walls that he's got here, enabling him to sort of control that narrative. And we can see that Viper is beginning to trade 214 gold on each of these bad boys. And you can see how injured they are. If only the Abbey of the Trinity were nearby, then he would be able to heal up without issue. If only. But now the trebuchet is going to continue to unfold. I want to watch once again. Let's see where these guys go. Oh, man, I love it. They're like giant mangonels. Here we go. Yeah. Down on... why am I making the sound effects? We literally have trebuchet. I'm like... Oh my god. Why am I making the sound effects? You know, we've got sound engineers to do that, Drongo, you dickhead. Corp now really trying to push in here. You can see those shots still being fired off over on the trebuchets of his opponent. Viper losing a trader, unfortunately there. A second trader going to be coming through. We did bring this up a little bit earlier in the game. It means that all of the traders for Viper are going to be going down. Unfortunately, they have that beautiful little coat on the front, and they're all just going to be losing it. Viper not looking like he's in the best position here, as Corp begins to build up with the mass. 181 versus 146. Viper down to 12 military units at this point in time, and really holding on. Mangonel's now going to be coming out of the siege workshops here. Let's take a look at the production that we've got coming through for Viper. He's got 34 military production buildings at this point, 10 stables, 9 archery ranges, 10 barracks, 2 siege workshops only. Those are rookie numbers, Viper. You got to up those numbers. I want to see like 16 siege workshops, and they should all be making trebuchets. But now it seems like this Berkshire Palace or Berkshire Palace going to be going down despite the villagers healing it up. So Viper losing a landmark there, as displayed by that message on your screen. And Corp continues to push forward now. That was a significant anchor point for Viper, and now that it's down, it's going to mean it's very easy for Corp to push through, because he doesn't have this on the back line. We can see the Trebs still firing back on towards it, and I got to be honest with you guys, I'm enjoying this a lot. I think the Trebuchet is a wonderful unit that is underutilized significantly, and it is great to see it out in force today. But now Viper looking for a bit of a dive now back towards these Trebuchets. The Trebuchets once again going to be unpacking, unloading. I'm really looking forward to the time when Viper realizes that he can make Springalds with 12 range to counter these Trebuchets. But we'll have to wait and see whether he actually does that. But now it looks like a bit of a push. Viper still trying to mount a defensive. When it comes to his resources, really sitting on 68 villagers right now on gold, or on food. Now, keep in mind, he has got 68 villagers of gold. Look how much gold a minute, or sorry, 68 villagers on food. Look how much gold is coming through per minute for him. This is a ludicrous amount of gold. Now, that's because he's got the sacred site. That's because he's got the relics as well. So we take a look. Where is that? Somewhere around here. I don't remember. There it is, the monastery. He's got 3 relics. Now, that's only 400 gold coming in from that. Now, he could be getting tithe barns as well, but that's only 400 gold. All the rest of that gold is coming in from enclosures. This technology is pretty freaking crazy. Every time you see +1 gold coming up over here, that is going straight into Viper's bank. That's going right into his kitty. So, yeah, a really, really nice technology there. Viper probably going to have to wall up on this position here just to try and control the aggression that is coming through. We continue to see that Elite Knights up against Elite Knights, fully upgraded versus fully upgraded. Actually, it's they're missing one +1 upgrade, but now looks like Corp going to be pushing forward with another keep. So he's already got the 2 landmarks behind him. Going to be looking for a third one here. Doesn't look like Viper's got any trebuchets out behind this, so it's going to be very difficult for him to be able to stop this. But incredibly difficult game for here. We can see that the Berkshire Palace slowly but steadily coming up, sitting on 1,600 health. I'm not sure how much health it needs to sit on before it starts firing again, but I suspect it would be... It's a lot more than what it's got right now. It's a lot more than what it's got right now. Oh, feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. But now continuing to unfold the rocks down on the... He's just really hitting the same point over and over and over again. And with these keeps, it's going to enable him to continue creeping forward. Look how much stone is in the bank for Viper. He's sitting on 4,000 stone at this point. Corp, on the other hand, only 375. So not a lot of stone in the bank for him. But he's going to keep trying to add in these castles. Looks like he's going to be losing that one on the front line as well. And continuing to push in with this composition where he's got the longbows, crossbows, as well as the hand cannoneers that are in there. At least there used to be hand cannoneers. I'm not sure. Do you guys see any hand cannoneers in there? I don't actually see any hand cannoneers anymore. I think it's just going to be going with these arrow class units. Men at arms on the front as well. Elite Knights are out in force. And managing to chow down on these hand cannoneers of Viper. Viper not looking good at this point. Score still keeping up with him though. So it's not over until the fat lady sings, but really, Corp is trying his best to push in. We're going to check in with Corp. I want to see what his production looks like. He's on 35 production buildings at the moment. 8 stables, 9 barracks, 9 archery ranges. What? Where did that all go? I must have clicked something. 9 archery ranges, 3 siege workshops, and then he's got his landmarks as well, but he is continuing to push through. So the primary difference when it comes to these players, I really don't know what it is other than the unit composition that came out. Obviously, we saw from Viper that he was going for a little bit more heavy of a knight composition, but up against the crossbows and the men-at-arms from his opponent, it was difficult for them to push through. He needs to be focusing on these villagers, honestly. If he wants to begin moving past this, he needs to be making sure these villagers are going down. So he could begin to trebuchet those. In fact, that would do pretty well, I suspect. Does he look to do that? He's just going to begin focusing down the other buildings. I think this might be a good game here for Viper. This isn't looking pretty at this point. Corp in an incredibly good spot. I want to take a look at Corp and see how he's doing. Corp also on 68 villagers on gold, by the way. So you thought Viper was the only one who could be sitting on 68. Corp going to be doing the same thing. Viper on 67 now. Still, let's have a look at that gold income. You can see it's sitting at 1,900. So these guys have barely any villagers on gold, with the exception of Corp, who's sitting on 19 vills on gold. Why do you have 19 vills on gold, Corp? That's wild. Send these guys to the woods. Send them to the trees. Villagers still trying to get this up, not having a lot of luck. Viper sitting down on 150 population at this point, and it's really just not looking good for him. It looks like a couple of mangonels getting mixed in here as well. 2 mangonels also getting mixed in, and this composition is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, when it comes to this game and the way that Corp has played it, you know, absolutely. Like, look at the units he's got out here: spears, crossbows, men-at-arms, knights, longbows. Mangonels, trebuchets, and of course a villager on the front line as well. Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't you? I mean, when it comes to this game, I came into this and I'm thinking, all right, Corp's going to do something very cheeky here, you know, going with the with the Abbey of the Kings, and then he really took it to another level. I think the big thing for me, obviously, it comes down to that composition, but the addition of crossbows is really what made it. If there's one thing to come away from with this game, it is that crossbows are incredibly strong. Actually, you know, it wouldn't. Oh my lord! Did you guys see that? there was a trebuchet that fired up its rope and it just kind of left it hanging. Just left it hanging. Yeah, I mean, if there was going to be something that I came away from with this game, it's that English trebuchets fuck. English or revenue income now beginning to lower for Viper. You can see that he's falling down on all fronts. His gold per minute, his food per minute, as well as his wood per minute, all becoming lower than Corp. And Corp really pushing in, looking to finish this one. And now the infrastructure from Viper is going to be sieged down. And when there is no infrastructure, there is no units, my friend. And Corp really having a very I guess I would say a difficult time in the game, but an easy time now that he's managed to take down this Berkshire Palace. So we can see how important it was for Viper to position this appropriately. You know, some people definitely would have gone a lot more forward, and can you imagine how much more difficult this game would have been for Viper if he had positioned this forward? Because he would have lost the Berkshire almost immediately. But speaking of, I mean, it's not over until it's over. I mean, at this point, it's looking like Viper is getting cleaned up. But by the same token, I mean, the keepers on the front line, Corpse still sitting on 200, Viper at 133 population at the moment, only 37 military, and now those catapults going to begin raining down terror once again on the infrastructure. I was going to take you guys into cinematic mode, but I think we might leave it just for now as those knights continue to clean up. It looks like a longbow mass in here as well. And now losing out those siege workshops. Now, once these siege workshops are dead, there's going to be no more trebuchets coming out for Viper. And Viper taps out of the game. He says, you know what? It's just not good enough. It's just not cricket. I can't do it anymore. Incredible game coming out there from Corpse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I leave links in the description over towards Viper's YouTube. You can catch him there. Corpse Twitch. You can catch him live there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this cast. I'll catch you guys in the next one.